So there's 4 movies I shared with you guys, as I mentioned, and I got to do interviews with all of them. 2 of which are out. That's right. Bajo El Mismo Sol, as I mentioned, as well as Irkala Gilgamesh's Dream, which is a reference to Adrian's opening line. He's not the villain in the
I know,
Smurf.
and that's the one that, I that was the one that I was planning on watching next. Obviously, I've had, like, the craziest week, so I was a little bit busy, but Under the Same Sun, Bahama was so good.
Okay, so we're starting
So
there. We're starting there.
yes, we're starting here because I can't contain myself anymore.
Oh, we'll open it
Um,
up. What did you think? What
I
stood out to you?
absolutely I loved it. I thought it was so good. It had me on my seat a couple times where I'm like, because it's so nice when you have, um, films like this where, like, there's certain films where, we're subjected to where you kinda like, there's no risk involved.
Mm,
So, like, it doesn't really seem like I mean, I'm sure we talked about it with Fantastic Four where it was like, you guys were talking about, like, like, you knew kinda what was gonna happen the whole time. You never fucking know what's happening. You never quite know the direction it's gonna go in. You know that there's conflict happening. You know that there's many different factors that can ruin this opportunity that they have.
so
And
for a little
Do we
context,
want the
let
I
letterbox
know I'm
review?
trying to, like,
Yeah.
say it without
well
any
we'll
spoilers as
we'll
much as
we'll, we'll do
possible.
we'll do Adrian's letterboxed description for each. So
Yeah.
we'll start off with Bajo Mismo Sol. What do we got?
2025, directed by Ulises Porra. Um, 1819, a young Spanish heir, a Chinese weaver, and a Haitian deserter struggle to find their place and humanity in the tense cultural crossroads of the colonial Caribbean. They embark on the ambitious endeavor of establishing a silk factory in the very heart of the island of Hispaniola.
There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Erica.
Sorry. I just get
No,
so
no, no.
excited. I know, and
I love it.
I'm trying to describe it with no context.
Yeah, you could provide some context of like what it's about without necessarily like our typical
Yeah,
spoiler-free
no,
review.
I think I'm starting to realize that that's the type of movie I like the most is where their humanity is really tested, in
Mm.
every single turn in this film. It's a matter of making a decision that's going to affect all not just, like, a lot of people, because it's not necessarily a lot, it's very, like, everybody's out for themselves at this point,
Mm.
rightfully so with how everything that's kind of happening in the area at the time, like, every man for himself, like, it really is survival of the fittest at
For
this
sure.
point, but I just the story, the ending got me so good, like, I loved it, it was
Nice.
just so
Nice.
good, I'm, like, actually very happy that you were able to interview and talk and kind of get the gist of, like, behind
And
the scenes of, like, the thought process, but I loved it, I
yeah,
loved this movie.
I love that. Yeah, Ulysses was an awesome person to interview, person in general, but he's a Spanish director and he kind of talks about like, I asked him, how do you approach this movie being Spaniard yourself? And you kind of portray the Spaniard in this in a certain light, right? And he made an awesome point where he's like, colonization is a bit of a double-edged sword. Like there's a lot of benefit that did come out of it, but it's also a very dark time,
Ugly, it's just so
Yeah.
ugly, but yeah.
Adrian, I happened to be texting you, or I think maybe I FaceTimed you at one point, and you were in the middle of this, and you had some thoughts. What did you think about Under the Same Sun?
I enjoyed it. It was interesting. I don't know what I thought of it. The ending kind of threw me for a loop where I'm not sure if what I was initially thinking was accurate as far as
Mm,
like who's who, the villain, the
mm,
hero, you know what I mean? Like who are the protagonists and the antagonists, kind of stuff like that. Like as I'm breaking down this movie, like, oh, maybe I was wrong the whole time. I really appreciated the notion that it felt accurate, because it did feel like he did provide, man, this sucks. It's colonization. Like this is, how the Spaniards took over my people. Like it sucks to see, but at the same time, like, there is beauty in that, and what has come from it. So I appreciated it. I definitely feel like I should buy myself some silk sheets now. Um, very
For sure,
least,
and
They're
not take
good
it for
for
very
granted.
least, you know?
they're good for your skin, they're good for your hair.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, like you said, accurate to history it was, because there was many attempts to export and grow and build silk factories in the Caribbean at that time, and
Well, and
I
then
Illegally, you
was
know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, well, and then you have, like, the French aspect as well, so
correct.
it's so it's like that divorcee child, right? You having to, like, choose between the evils. Like, say you have 2 evil parents, you gotta choose between which one. So you have, like, these 2 superpowers in their eyes, because it's not anything that they can defend against, and then
Right.
you have these scenarios where you're gonna work for whatever kind of money you can, but you also need to be like, "Hey, like, my work is worth more than this, and everybody's out here for survival, like, you need to be
Yeah,
paying me what
and
we're
and
worth."
it's just
I found it beautiful, like, the notion that it was, a Haitian, like a black Haitian, a light-skinned Spaniard, and then, a Chinese girl, and the dynamic between the 3, like,
like the
I'm sh
hierarchy between that, and
not
kind of
necessarily the
at that
hierarchy, but
time.
obviously there's
Mm,
racism, and obviously racism still existed
I
then, like, they're
mean,
considered slaves, and they considered,
very
just
heavily
Orientals.
implied that she
yeah,
got
for
Right,
sure.
bought with,
Yeah,
correct.
other
So
things that yeah.
right.
so the whole notion that they're able to work through their differences, one language being a big difference, and still have the common goal of, "Hey, let's make something happen here,"
Yeah, yeah,
is a beautiful concept, like, why can't we do that, you know?
yeah. Shout out, who played my Valentina Shenwu, her first movie. I got to talk to Ulysses about that. Her
Stunning.
first movie, incredible performance, like such a natural.
Well, and throughout the whole thing too, she's very severe, very
Mm,
and especially just knowing, like, how Asian culture is, it's very normal. It's very normal to not be expressive, to not show emotion, to keep that in. It's very much reserved only for certain people in your life. And then at the very end, where you just see all of that emotion on her
right,
face,
right.
she did an absolute wonderful job.
I'm glad you liked it.
I
I
loved
was
it.
so curious, with these movies, because they're that's the thing I learned too coming out of TIFF, is there's so many incredible movies that we'll never get an opportunity to see, because it's not going to be released in the US at the level of Fantastic Four or fucking, you know,
Hollywood.
And
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
slow burn, you know? It's
It
definitely
is
a
Yeah,
a
slow
slow
burn.
burn, yeah. And it's just beautiful. We talked about it also, like just the beautiful scenery in that movie,
yeah.
being in the Caribbean. I
And
believe he said he filmed in the Dominican Republic.
And
Yeah,
even though it's a slow burn, because I've made it very clear, I struggle with slower movies and, like, longer movies, it was so rewarding that I didn't even care. Like,
sure, sure. It pays off.
I found myself looking at the time to make sure I still had more time. Like, when it got
You
down to,
wanted to
like
spend more time with them.
yeah, so when it got to, like, it was me I remember it too, it was, like, minute 17, I had 17 minutes left, and I was like, "That's it?" Oh, dang it. It's like, "Shoot,
Sure.
that went by too fast." Yeah,
Speaking of time, we should probably move on to the next
sorry.
movie. No, 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 that's great. I mean, it's deserving of conversation.
It definitely
Um,
deserves the recognition, yeah.